Moments when God's presence is strong and the Holy Spirit seems thick in the air. And it's fairly easy to have faith. I think of times where we baptize a little one and we watch parents gaze adoringly at their child. We gather around, and as the water is poured, we hear the promise that this is a child of God, and we know that we are too. Or I think about when we come up to the table and we hear the words of institution. We hear that Jesus dedicated this meal to us. As we kneel, we receive what we are told is the body and blood of our Savior. And as the bread and wine washed on our throat, we have a flicker of hope that God is deeply present in our lives. But then communion is over. The baptismal cake is all eaten. And we go back out into the world where everything is a little more confusing and God's presence harder to detect. I think that may have been what was going on with Mary. She was able to express faith when she felt the presence of God with her in the form of an angel. But when the angel was gone, I imagine the reality of what he had just told her hitting Mary like a ton of bricks. She, an unwed virgin, was about to have a child, and not by her husband-to-be, but by God. Alone with this incredible and somewhat terrifying news, Mary must have felt so confused, and God's presence may have been harder to detect. And so Mary decides to go see her relative Elizabeth, thinking perhaps that if the angel had been telling the truth, Elizabeth would be round with child. And if God could make Mary's old barren relative pregnant, then God could do the impossible, and what he had promised her, that she would bear God's son, might be true. But Mary needed confirmation, so she set off with haste. I wonder what Mary was feeling as she walked through the dusty deserts of Palestine on that long journey. After a while, the adrenaline must have worn off of the angel being with her, and maybe she just felt that same anxiety, that same sense of desperation that we sometimes feel when we want confirmation that God's promises to us are true. Yes, we too have been on the road with Mary, searching for confirmation that God is with us. As we journey through Advent, we look for confirmation through the coming of God's Son, Emmanuel, God with us. The beginning of Advent, we hear that God is indeed going to meet us in the form of a baby who will bring light to our dark places. As Advent goes on, we feel God's assurances and the candles and the songs. During these blessed moments, we feel the Holy Spirit thick in the air, and the promises are not so hard to believe. But then something happens. Like the credit card bill is mounting, and we know it might be hard to pay. We find ourselves missing family and friends who have died and who won't be celebrating Christmas with us this year. Our kids grow up and won't be at Christmas Eve services anymore. Our enjoyment of shopping is tempered by a shooting at a local mall. And our holiday cheer is literally ripped away when we hear that so many children were killed at their school. In the face of these realities, we may be confused, and God's presence may be hard to detect. Instead of being caught up in the magical moments of the holidays, we may find ourselves back on the lonely road with Mary in need of confirmation that God is present in all this mess. As Mary climbed that final hill up to Elizabeth's house, I wonder if she could anticipate the reassurance that was waiting for her. Most certainly relieved at the end of her journey, Mary entered her cousin's house and called out a greeting to her. When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the child leapt in her womb. Elizabeth ran to embrace her and cried out, "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And why has this happened to me? For the mother of my Lord has come to me." Elizabeth's proclamation is what Mary needs to hear. And seeing that her relative is indeed with child, Mary responds with the beautiful hymn that we still sing today. "My soul proclaims your greatness, O God, and my spirit rejoices in you." The two women celebrate. They come together and they celebrate what God had done and was doing in their lives and celebrated the promises of what God would do, we can imagine that the Holy Spirit was thick in the air. As we go through the season of Advent, I wonder if we can anticipate the reassurance that is waiting for us. As God provided reassurance for Mary and her relatives, and we know he did again with the shepherds and the three kings, we can believe that God provides reassurance to us in community as well. Whatever hill we're climbing in life, as we gather during this holiday season with our friends, with our family, whether it be around the tree or the dinner table, we may find respite from our struggle in the joy and the bonds of love that we have with one another. We can come here to this place. We hear the choir, we see the candles lit up, and we find reassurance in the testimonies of one another that the promises are true and that God is, was, and ever will be with us. In this place, we hear the stories, like the one about Mary and Elizabeth, joyfully reveling in the presence and power of God. Like the story about a great God that meets us in this broken and sometimes difficult world in the form of a baby who will bring light to our dark places, according to the promise that God made to our ancestors, to Abraham, and to his descendants forever. But even in the season of Advent, as we anticipate the coming of the one who will save us, we still may be with Mary on the road. But I invite you to look around. We don't journey alone. Indeed, we journey with one another, and we journey with a God who has been, is, and will be with us forever. So as we gather here today, even if we are still on our journey, we surely must be nearing the top of the hill. In the next few days, we'll be invited into the joyful celebration of the one who will save us, the light in the darkness, the love that conquers all. The Holy Spirit will be thick in the air, and God's presence will not be so hard to detect. And even though we have more journeys ahead, we can hold on to this promise that God will provide us reassurance again and again and again. So let's celebrate together what God has been doing, is doing, and will be doing in our lives. And together we can join in Mary's hymn, "Our souls proclaim your greatness, O God.